We are going off the rails. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show dedicated to Disney and tangents. I am your host, Frank, and I am joined alongside by a bunch of great people, including Denny Sunderlee.
Hi there.
Rhino.
You gotta get that pizza.
Yes, and unfortunately, we still don't have Jackie Gailey back with us, hopefully next week. But in her place this week, we have another special guest. We have John Sakari.
I could never replace Jackie Gailey.
No. I mean,
I miss her too.
yeah.
Are we gonna start
Absolutely.
calling him John now? Is that the thing?
No, keep Panda because it
Just
confuses
Panda.
the heck out
Oh,
of
I
me.
was just going to go full John Sakari, like every time.
Keep Panda.
John Sakari is a very Craig should have like a cigarette, like he's Larry King, and he's like, on today's show we have
I agree.
That's true. And
John
suspenders.
Sakari. You know, yeah, like,
It's way too professional.
Yeah,
Okay, we got Scary then. I'm going to call him Scary.
I was called Scary Sakari in high school because I used to make horror movies, not because I was scary.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But I
Like, it
probably
checks out.
was. I mean, if you had a piece of pizza in your hand and I was coming down the hallway, I probably was a little scary.
Okay. Off to a remarkable start as always. And we will tell you what we're actually going to talk about in this week's show in just a second. But before we get to that, I do have to remind you, this is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like our content, you want to support us, please consider booking a vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. It costs you no extra money and you get the support of an awesome Dreams Unlimited Travel agent. So head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com today for a free, no obligation quote. Now, I am most definitely going to butcher how I introduce this episode, so stick with me. This is not going to be as bad as the episode where it was what is the best worst advice that you could give someone, because that one was a real mind messery in that way.
a messery.
Yes, that's
We were using a different word for that based on a TV show we love right before this, and it was stuck in my head, and I don't want to go down that road.
Gentleman pirate.
Yes, I don't want to add any bleeps to this week's show. I will if I have to, but I would prefer not to. But this show actually is somewhat like that episode where we gave our best worst advice, but not as complicated. This is going to be a show about the advice that we've given that we may regret now. And I know Denny's processing, the wheels are processing. I'm going to give
goodness.
you 2 quick examples to why
I was going to say, use
thought
it
of
in a
this.
sentence.
Use it in a sentence.
Yes.
Okay. And this is going to be a first things first, and we might have briefly mentioned this already, but some people are going to fall out of their chairs or off their treadmills or wherever they're listening. It's going to be a shock. But when Rhino and I were in California 2 months ago now, but we're still releasing footage from it to this day because of the weird release schedules that we have for all the channels. So it seems like we've been in California for
there.
months, but we
I wish.
no.
Maybe
listen,
I wish.
Listen, when you only release 2 videos a week on a channel and you went there and you shot like 20, it's gonna be a while. So yeah, it's just I'm getting tired of Disneyland videos too, I promise you. But that aside, the reason why this topic popped in my head was 2 reasons. When we're in Disneyland, we didn't do a dining review with it because we've done it before. We don't need to do it again. But we were waiting for fireworks one night,
I know where
and
you're
our
going
friend Anthony was kind enough to leave the spot so that way he could be the corn dog runner for us. And building up to the trip to Disneyland, all we're thinking about is a Disneyland corn dog. It's the best. It's the greatest. I
From
want
the
that Disneyland
little red
Yes.
wagon.
Exactly.
Specifically.
I want that Disneyland corn dog. I want it smothered in butter. Not butter. Mustard.
What? There's not enough grease on it for you.
I want it, that's the secret. I've never told people. I bring my own butter packets and I rub it.
Yeah.
I caress
Just
it
the
now.
stick of it.
Exactly.
Yes.
No. Smothered in mustard. No ketchup at all. Just mustard and that corn dog. And it is the greatest thing in the world. So we're stuck in our spot for fireworks waiting for Anthony to come back with them. He drops them off and take 2 bites of this thing. And it is atrocious. Like, it is so burnt that I don't know how it was handed over to me in that first place. Like, and then I started to piece it together. And I'm like, the last time I was there, I had to like douse this thing in mustard because it was burnt. And then it jumped on me again. It's like the time after that, I remember it was burnt too. So I've spent years telling people, if you don't get a Disneyland corn dog from the Little Red Wagon, then you are missing out on this existential experience. But now, considering I'm at 3 times in a row where this thing has been burnt, something that should be easy to avoid. I mean, they're making so many throughout the day. It's very easy to avoid burning them, but it keeps coming out burnt. I'm at the point where I kind of regret telling people now that, like, this is, if you have one quintessential food item you should get from Disneyland, I'm kind of at the point now where I don't think it's the corn dog anymore.
It's the soup. You switched me over to the tomato soup. The soup and the sandwich. Jolly Holiday.
And maybe that's
So
the quintessential one. I'm not sure too, but I'll give one other example.
I have another. Wait, I can tag team on the corn dog thing with you.
Okay, yes, go.
I was just going to say I got it again because I went back a month after you, and I had one with our friend Chloe, and I was even like, "This is very disappointing. It isn't. It isn't like it. It wasn't like how ours were burned, but it also wasn't like it didn't feel like as quality as I wanted it to be." And I think I texted you even while I was having it, and I was like, "Oh,
you did?
Update, they're not great." And so that's where I was like, I think this is falling off my list of being like, if I get it, if I'm there and it's the option to have, I'll have it, but I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to get it.
So did the product change, or is it the preparation of
I think it's a combination. I think it's probably a preparation problem with like mobile ordering and the waiting. And like it's such a small place, they're probably just like trying to get out as many as they can because it is very popular. So I don't know if there's something in that process or not.
For me, it's preparation. It's just, it's in that deep fryer probably 30 seconds too long. And, you want that corn dog outside coating to be golden crispy. You don't want it to be dark brown. And just like it's the hot dog inside is still great. It's good. But the fact is, you have to bite through the corn to get to the dog. And so if the corn isn't good, it doesn't matter how great the dog is. And you can only use so many condiments to actually cover it up. But I mean, back in the day, you could get a Disneyland corn dog. You don't even need mustard. Like, it's nice to dip it in, get that little dash. But
needed it the last time I had it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you need something to cover up the flavor of just char and burnt. And that's not good. And my other example to give you is also food related. I hope this doesn't just evolve completely into all food related ones. Maybe it will. Doesn't matter if it does. But my other food related one that it's the positive. It ends up having a good outcome. I still would recommend it. But anytime I'm talking about the Hollywood Brown Derby, I am always saying you gotta go for the Cobb salad. And then a little birdie implanted in my ear, and I'm gonna call her out on it. It's Carly, who has the very awesome podcast, very amusing. She's had like multiple times in the past couple months now where she's kind of like crapped on the Cobb salad a little bit, not in a bad way, but like it's just Cobb salads for her were mushy. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? It always does kind of just get like wet and gloopy as you mix it all together. And it's, now that I'm thinking about it, do I just like it because it's their signature dish and that's what's like locked on? But I went and had it yesterday and I can confirm, yes, it does get wet. It can not get as wet if you ask for the dressing on the side, because I think that's the problem. It's they put too much dressing on sometimes, and the lettuce is chopped so fine that it is it absorbs it right away, and then it's completely lost. So then you're eating avocado, bacon, and dressing and everything that's on there all together, and it's not as appetizing. But yeah, when I had it yesterday, I was like, you know what though? It's the combination of the bacon, the blue cheese, and the avocado together. That's just, this is why you get this thing. It's so perfect. And so that was the other one that I had in mind. It's like, I'm starting to think that I was like just giving this thing a pass and recommending it to people all the time when I really shouldn't. But then I did have it, and yeah, you should go get it. But the corn dog stands. So now that I've been talking for 9 minutes straight with one interjection from Rhino, I'm going to ask, does anyone else here have something that, and you have to be honest with yourself on this one. Maybe it's something that you hate to admit, but yeah, it's not as good as I always make it out to be. And it's not something that's that amazing.
Walt Disney World.
Oh my gosh. What?
Killing me.
Expound.
I hate to say it, but I think it's one of those things right now where, like, if you are a new person coming into this, I think it's going to be one of those where I think structurally, innovationally, the rides in general, things like that, I think there is a lot of impressive stuff, but I think to like a general, like just a person we've plucked out of their life who maybe isn't a Disney fan or whatever and is just here, I think they're going to be like, I don't get it. Because we've said it before, it's all very complicated to come here now. It's not easy to come here anymore. Right. It's not like you can just be like, hey, you know what? I think finally I have some time off. Why don't we just like book a trip? We'll go down. We'll stay in a hotel and then we'll just buy the tickets to the theme parks and that's it. And we're done. And we're ready to go. And it's not that. It's like you have to have the reservation. And then like right now we're in the height of that revenge travel. So I think it's like that part of like, I remember so many times just hearing how empty the parks were. And we did say the count is on the rise. You know, it's on the rise. It's on the rise. And now it's to the point, though, where I'm just like, it's just too many people. It's like I'm like walking through Hollywood Studios and just thinking to myself where I'm like watching everybody, like these families carrying these like trays of food and everything. And like not a single table is available outside or inside of ABC Commissary. And I'm just like, you know, you can't just go to a dine-in restaurant. It's too crowded. You know, like you have to have made that reservation so far in advance. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, there's so much stress involved in this.
Yes.
Like, I don't think a regular person could just come and be fancy free while they're here. You know, and I think there's like that aspect of it that's like a deeper thing. And I don't mean in a way where I'm like, don't come here. I mean, don't come here because then I have more space. But I was thinking yesterday, legitimately, I was thinking to myself where I think the best way to experience parks right now specifically is to be an annual pass holder. And I know that we get kind of, people are always like, well, you're an annual pass holder. But like, we have that ability to be able to go in and be like, nope, too much, and leave and come back. Or, you know, like do that one thing. I just want to go and do Guardians. And so I'm going to put up with this one frustration for today. And that's fine, you know? But then like, I'm like some people who just have that one day ticket, like if that does become a really frustrating thing, you then are stuck like in that park having to like keep going or you're wasting your money sort of a thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's one of those things where I'm like, I feel just go to Disneyland.
You know, it's, I would agree. I agree with everything that you're saying. Like for the first time guest right now, you are set up for failure, not success. Mm-hmm. And we already had, you know, as Disney Parks fans, we already had a lot of pressure on us, right? The whole planning process. Before we even step foot in a Disney park, it's already been a bit much. Like we've gotten the kids together or the family or whomever, if we're just going on a solo trip, we've gotten ourselves together. We've flown or we've driven for hours upon hours and we finally get here and we've done all the things and it's hot and it's crowded and it is a different experience than it used to be right now. The magic is still there, but then people also say you shouldn't have to look. You know, you shouldn't have to look for that magic. It should be dripping from the ceiling, which there should be magic everywhere. But it is a very, my heart goes out to those people for whom this is their first
I don't know how you do
trip.
it with kids, to be honest with you. Like, I don't want to be like, I'm very fortunate not to have children. That's not the case. But like, I may have kids someday, but I just think to myself, like, God, my mom, she couldn't do it. My mom couldn't do it. There's no question to me. I would not enjoy being here as a child with my mother, knowing the frustration rate she had. My problem is it's a domino effect. So if it starts going wrong, it's very hard to turn the ship.
To course
I feel like.
correct.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. And then I feel like you get that feeling of being just so lost in that information that it can be a little like, I don't know. Now I feel bad too because we're
I
sitting
am-
here on a
I am-
Disney
No,
podcast, and I was
but
the guy who was like,
it's
"No."
valid.
But I'm just trying to be honest. I'm just trying to be honest. Like I'm not saying I know I make the joke. Go to Disneyland. They still have limitations there, especially when it comes to being able to go as. I mean, it's gotten better for sure. But you still have to do like park reservations. But you know what? What's great there is if you missed your park reservation at 1:00, you can just go in either park. I am still beyond frustrated that cannot happen at Walt Disney World,
Yes.
or they just don't care to look into it. Or I'd like it explained to me why it can't happen. Why I would be the one person if I'm already counted for as being in a reservation, like then I'm still counted for until the end of that day. So I don't really get it.
Yeah,
But
but I will say with that, I don't think it's enough to just say jump straight to Disneyland because it's too different. They're two different beasts. Walt Disney World is the vacation destination. It is this resort. I mean, if you look at it from a grand scheme of things, it's not just what it offers with the theme parks.
It is the
and
hotels, too,
It's
you're
the
right. It's a lot of
hotels.
hotels, yeah.
It's what offers with Disney Springs. If you're a golfer, you have that available. Mini golf opportunities.
there's a lot more restaurants, dining, and stuff like that
It's-
here as well.
exactly.
It's a disappear. You disappear into it more here.
But I will agree with you on the sense. If I'm saying, do I want to go and do rides and get as many
Yes.
rides done in 3 days back to back? Yeah, of course I'm going to Disneyland. I mean, just in Disneyland alone, there's more attractions than 2 parks combined at Walt Disney World. And so you can knock out a lot more rides when going to Disneyland, but it's not the resort. You're not on the bubble. I mean, if you're staying on property, you have your semi-bubble that you're staying in.
Little bubble.
But I mean, it's as someone, Rhino and I usually don't stay on
Right.
property. And while I enjoy the finer things that the streets outside of Disneyland has to offer and the sights and sounds, there is no doubt there is nothing magical about Anaheim beyond the gates of Disneyland. So I can't just say like, hey, you want the magic, it's out at Disneyland. It's the same way you can't say, hey, you want the magic of Walt Disney World, it's in Disney Cruise Line. It's just they're all different.
That's a very
They're
good
all
point.
different
Yeah.
products and destinations. Walt Disney World is frustrating right now, for sure. You can see it on the face of a lot of people, but I'm not ready. I can't throw in the towel with Walt Disney World. I can't do it. I can't do it.
No, and
can't do it.
I would agree with that because our nephew just visited.
Is his name Few?
No.
Okay.
Nephew.
I don't
His
get it.
name is James. So James came down
Our nephew Few?
to I don't know.
I don't get it.
I need more coffee.
yeah.
It's a stupid tangent. No, it is the dumbest tangent. I'm gonna get torn apart for interrupting you. It's one of my favorite SNL clips. It's when Topher Grace hosted years and years ago, and he was doing his monologue. He needed help from the cast because he's not a comedian at heart. But it was like a question and answer in the audience, and Jason Sudeikis is like, so Topher isn't your name? And he's like, it's actually shortened from Christopher. It's like, you can't just do that. Like, my name's Matthew. I can't just shorten it to Thew.
Few.
So it's like anytime I hear that you at the end.
nephew.
So when you said my nephew is here, I was like, oh, your nephew Few.
Few, yes.
I gotcha.
Few was here, and but we ended up in the
Sweden.
parks.
Few?
Few. But we ended up in the parks on a Saturday and Sunday, and we had the best time. We did not buy Genie Plus. We just decided to, we were gonna. Whatever had a line that wasn't too egregious to us as far as the wait time was concerned, we hopped in and we rode them, and he had a great time. We all three of us did. So it is, the magic is there. It's just, I feel like it's become more difficult to navigate, and it was already difficult.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's part of it. I think it's what you said too. It's a combination of things too, especially seasonally, the weather, that sort of stuff adding up to it. Like always having to hold your phone for me. I hate that kind of feeling too. But that was definitely something that bothered me at Disneyland too, though. So I'm not saying Disneyland's perfect or anything, but I do agree. I think maybe it's like kind of what you both are saying is like, what are you looking to get out of it? Where if you are a ride person, you are banking on that most square footage usage is definitely at Disneyland. Like boom, ride. You know what I mean? Like, and here it doesn't feel the same. It's Yeah.
You can still get your bang for your buck in terms of rides at Walt Disney World if you're aggressive. But I think Walt Disney World has slowly shifted to that destination for dining, for relaxing at your
for the
hotels.
resorts,
And I think it has become that. And it's like one of those things that it's been hard to see as a local that doesn't visit in that way.
That's a
and
good point.
It's
Yeah.
also hard to see it too because I am still a ride person. I love food and I love trying to relax. Well, like I pretend that
love
I
the
can
attempt.
relax.
Do you relax? Is that possible?
No, I have never relaxed,
Okay.
but I love the idea of trying
love
to
the
relax,
idea of it,
and
yeah.
I think Walt Disney World does offer that. And I mean, no, there are points like you get on a pontoon boat at Walt Disney World, and you can disappear and just let the breeze blow through your mane for people
your
who
what?
your mane.
Okay.
Yeah, for people who are not viewers, for listeners, I don't know if you know, but I have Fabio hair, and it just kind of
Do
like
you?
blows in the wind.
Yes.
I do. Yes, it's. I usually keep it under a hat,
You
but
do.
that's it's what I like to do. That is a way I can relax at Walt Disney World. But I
I'm
think
being
it's
very
just changed.
quiet because I'm agreeing with everything.
Oh, well, I'm ready for everyone to just rip me apart.
No,
so
I'm
it's fine.
completely agreeing. It's frustrating that it's gotten so hard to plan, and I think it's the hope that leadership will change and it will get better that keeps us going. And it's because I can't get these attractions that I love anywhere else. So I always look for the positive. My thing is Tiki Room, Haunted Mansion. I can't get anywhere else, so I'm going to continue to love Disney. But God, it's gotten complicated. You need a class before you get here. You need like a
there's so much stuff now too where it's like I don't mean to be rude. Like on a neutral perspective, I think the Magic Kingdom has the most in terms of like what it offers with the theming and everything. I think the Magic Kingdom has this stuff, but boy, do I never want to go there. Like I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to park. I don't want to. I mean, right now, I don't know. Tram's back now yet?
Magic Kingdom.
Magic
Yes.
Kingdom, yeah. Where is the one park where I definitely think
Animal
that you
Kingdom,
need
too.
them? And
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom? Okay. I was like, that would be the other one I would have put my. But the other two, I'm like, I don't think you need them. But I mean, some people do. But but it's like I don't know. It's just such a process, and it's different for somebody who's here every 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's like, oh yes, I can't wait to go wait in line for this really smelly monorail. Like, I like the ferry boat, but so it's like but I just it's hard. I think that's probably part of it too. Weather, seasonal, like all that stuff, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's some stuff. It's just like God, this process.
it's a process
Because it used to be a thing where like that process was fun, but now it's like they're using that delay that you go through in the process to really kind of pack more people in. I was going to say, what do you think? What do you think? I think my least favorite phrase on the planet Earth right now is please move all the way forward and fill in all the available space. If there is space in front of you, there is space for another person. And then something related to COVID. They're like, we don't have it yet because of COVID. And I'll be like, you just made me lick the person's neck who was standing in front of me.
That wording needs to be
Inconsistent.
abandoned.
Yes. I think that that needs to really go up because nothing will grate my nerves more than like, it was happening in the Guardians room. It was just like all the way forward. And I was like, good Lord, this room is full. I was like, what do you want? I get it that it's a ride system thing, but good Lord.
It's tough because that's. I don't want to say I miss it from the pandemic days, but there is definitely an argument of like pre-shows tell the story. They set up the story. So it's like storytelling versus efficiency. And not having pre-shows can be more efficient. There are times where it's not. And like I always give the example of Forbidden Journey at Universal. I love that attraction. I worked there for a long time, and the most aggravating thing is they put all the fun stuff you want to see right before you get on the ride. So you could, like, there would be times where there would be complete gaps just because people were like, oh, I want to see the characters when they're in the Defense Against the Dark Arts room, or Dumbledore's here. I want to stay and watch the entire thing that he has to say. And it's like, that's not... you need to keep moving, and it's hard to be like. So I also sometimes I don't understand the designs of these things where it's like, why do you put the stuff that people want to stop and wait on in places that slow down how you move this attraction forward?
I think that's why Rise has it so well. Is it like it has one, another one, another one? You know what I mean? Like it paces you out, but the gap in between is so tight that it's like, okay, you're not, once you're in it, you're in it. And
well, the story completes.
Yes, yeah.
It has a beginning and end.
Yeah.
Little story, off we go.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's like, I guess that's a whole nother conversation though. Someday we'll be about that. But
it's always tough because I think a low key one that I always use is Everest, where you finally like you go through some interesting rooms, but you finally get to the cool room where it has like the ripped apart tent that it's like, oh, did a Yeti hurt these people? Look at this scat. Like, look at this footprint. And you want to like take your time to slowly look at all that stuff, but you usually have a cast member who's like leaning into the room saying, come on, guys, we got to get you, because then you go down a blank hallway, back up that blank hallway, and you're boarding the trains right after that. And it's like, put the cool stuff at the beginning when the line's not moving as efficiently. So that way, by the time you get to that point where people are getting on the ride, then it's like you are anxious to move forward, not you're anxious to look at all the stuff around because you've been so bored in line. But this isn't line design with Craig. That's a different
podcast. A whole nother show.
I was going to say, listen, someday we're going to do that episode where we design attractions.
We might do that, but I guess Walt Disney World was an eager example that Rhino wanted to put out there. I don't know if eager is the right word, but it was the example.
And I regret saying it.
Yeah,
and now that is what my one regret thing I regret saying is.
I was looking more for like
don't eat that apple.
Well, a little bit.
Cancel your vacation.
It was more on the line of like, hey, you know what? I always am a champion and defender for the Enchanted Tiki Room because of the music, the atmosphere, whatever about it that like brings something to life in me. That's why other people should too. And I'm starting to think that like that's, while it's good advice for saying like if you don't want to wait in line for anything else and you just want to sit down, go for it. It's great advice, but I feel like with some attractions like that one and Carousel of Progress, I talk about it way too highly to the point that I'm like, unless you're like mega Disney fan, I don't think you're gonna care about these things.
Oh, I love Carousel.
Yeah. I do love Carousel because it's more of a like I remember my grandmother loves it and like stuff like that. But like I agree. I think it's one of those things where like we talk about that person I said who's now here on this frustrating vacation and they go in and they're like, what the hell was that? I just imagine them specifically in Carousel and being like, okay, like not like
I don't get it.
I would say Tiki Room is probably a little bit more because it's a little more interactive and a little shorter and stuff. But like the Carousel one, I can just especially like coming to the end in that scene and being like, why did I do this? Like,
if the nostalgia isn't there, is it as good when we hype it up to other people? I don't know.
It is incredibly nostalgic, and I see what you're saying with both of them. But still, and it happened just last weekend. As soon as those doors close and the cast member welcomes us and the opening begins, and then we go, the whole theater begins to whir around and to the opening scene for Carousel. I go, oh, this is so cool! Like but you realize you're getting that feeling, is moving. Like again, how cool is this?
But you're getting that feeling from a past experience that if somebody else doesn't have, are they going to have that? Oh, this is so cool. I don't know. They might. Yeah. But you have it unique. Because, so do I.
But yes, that end scene, I mean, if you're not like a huge Walt Disney fan or a Disney Parks fan, you're going to be like, we are stuck here, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
You know what? One's guilty of that. I think is well, I don't know. I was going to say people mover, but it's like we all love it. But
love
like,
it.
I don't know. A regular person, I think, could enjoy it though, because it takes you around the park. It's like a little tour.
But here's the thing: when we used to recommend People Mover all the time, it was you walked straight to that ramp and you walked up onto it, or maybe you had a couple down and backs max. Like it wasn't the consistent 15 to 20 minute wait.
God, no. Yep.
It is like, I love it. I still do it. And I wait 15 to 20 minutes for it because when I'm in the park looking for something to do and I'm like, I can waste 45 minutes. Blah, 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 blah. I can
Those are money minutes.
My brain is breaking right here in this moment. I can waste 45 minutes on Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin that I don't really like, or I can wait 15 to 20 minutes for the People Mover. I guess I'll do the People Mover, but like I wonder, and it's one of those things we can never really know unless there's someone out there who happens to love Disney podcasts but isn't obsessed with Disney parks at the very same vein. But I would love to know if you gave that advice to someone and said like, hey, you got to do the People Mover. It's worth it. And they wait 20, 25 minutes for it because it's just so backed up and keeps going down and then starts back up and it's reliable. If they wait that long, are they going to be like, I never trust you again? And I kind of do feel that about the People Mover. And I think we've talked about it before. I think Disney fans have hyped up the People Mover for probably a little too long for what it really is.
It's funny because I try to always think like I'll have friends from Massachusetts every now and then who are like, oh, we're going to the park. Do you have any recommendations? And I'm always like, okay, you have to like reframe your state of mind to be like, okay, what are the big things that I need to tell them that they have to do because this will blow their mind? And I'm like, Rise of the Resistance. You've got to do Rise of the Resistance, at Hollywood Studios. And then I'd be like, well, you're there. Obviously, like if you're a coaster person, Rock and Roller Coaster. I'd even say Slinky Dog. Tower of Terror. I would never steer somebody away from things that I don't even like. But I'd be like, okay, those are your big rides. And I'm not going to tell them to do stuff like alien swirling saucers or simpler stuff, I guess. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you're from way away, and I don't know the next time or how many times you're going to be here. So it's weird how like it's the stuff that you would normally want to do that I wouldn't recommend them doing. Like, it's weird. We're like, I like it. What we talk about sometimes because we're talking about the stuff where we're like, I love to do this for this reason, and then I feel like the people out here who are listening are like our friends that are like on the like, oh, cool. Well, I've got to go do it because, they said it was cool. And I love that kind of relationship we have with people in this podcast and stuff like that. But like on a blanketed, like somebody's just giving me a whatever and I'm not hanging out with you. That's the thing where I'm like, this ride, like
yes.
And I'll be, it's hard because you know how much I love Dinosaur and I'll be like, I'll throw that on anybody. I was about to be like, I won't recommend it, but I will to everybody.
No, it's a good
Anyways,
ride.
Is it a must do? Like, would you say
but it's not the first one I said. I'll always say like,
yes,
like Pandora. I'll be like, I don't love Pandora, the Flight of Passage, but I understand that everybody who does it pretty much is like, wow, that was really cool. So I'll be like, that's your wow ride. That's the ride you need to do. And because I'm like, everybody should do it at least once. I was like, it's not for me, but it's like, but I don't know. It's that weird reframing thing that's kind of crazy. I don't know why I started this sentence either, but here we are.
But here we are nonetheless. I have one. I have one. So I'm not saying that I now love it and everything that we have received as Epcot fans as a result of its arrival, but I have to say that when Few was in town, we went and saw he wanted to see Harmonious, had not yet seen Harmonious. And but he wanted to watch it from the overlook at the Japan Pavilion outside of Tokyo
go
Dining.
Upstairs? Okay, yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay, James, we can do that. Like, I've never been up there to watch the fireworks before."
Yeah. I have to stop and ask.
Yes.
Did he know like about that? Has he done it before? Okay.
Because he is a huge Disney Parks fan,
Okay.
a huge Walt Disney World fan.
Yeah.
And so he watches lots of different people on social. And so he understands that is an option to be able to watch the fireworks. And I was like, okay, let's go.
You don't have to be dining at that restaurant.
No.
You
Up the steps you go.
I wondered that the last time I was there because I watched it in Japan and I turned around and I was like, I remember coming for grad night when I was in high school in 2003. And my teachers watched Harmonious, good Lord, time travelers we are. We watched Illuminations and I remember thinking like, wow, the teachers are up there watching it on that balcony. But like, I thought, well, that's where they were dining and I'm assuming drinking, judging by by one of my teachers.
Mrs. Smith's
I'm
behavior.
I won't say who it is, but
But yeah, no. So we went up like 45 minutes ahead of time and had our little spot. Other people came up, not a lot, but other people came up. And I, from that elevated viewpoint, I was able to focus on the fireworks more than on those barges because I hate those barges. And I call it bargemonious, a la Rhino, because I don't think any show is worth what we see in the World Showcase Lagoon during the day. Like it's not worth it. But I really enjoyed Harmonious a ton more. From
a different perspective.
From a different perspective.
And now the balcony
I
will
was
be crowded forever.
Yeah,
I know. I was just thinking we're ruining it right
Sorry.
now. Whatever.
But you can focus on the fireworks and the fireworks portions of the show where you're not looking at the weird animation happening on the screen.
The monkey.
Yeah, the monkey with the articulated limbs and all that. So anyhow, I walked away from Harmonious that night liking it more so than I had before. So it's kind of a halfway.
No, it's there.
mission.
I think you're going to get all the way there. I mean, the more I watch it, the more I watch
The more I like it,
the
yeah.
more I like it. And I was very harsh on it in the beginning. And then I did strip away the part where I'm tired of sightlines. I am now at the point as a Disney fan where I know there is still that level that is like sightlines and you know the cleanness of the park. That's what made Disney Disney. But yeah, that's what made Disney Disney. But it's not anymore. It is now a different beast. And so I can only complain so long. It's not like someone's just going to listen up and be like, you know what? We've heard you loud and clear. Sightlines, we're going to start thinking about them again. That's not.
I mean, there has been one example of that. That's the problem. They got rid of the hat at Hollywood Studios. So it's hard because I would be like, yeah, there's no precedent for them ever listening to what people
And you
said
know
about
what?
things being ugly, and then they got rid of that.
And you know what? People were mad because it got to the
Where are
point.
my pins?
It got to the
Exactly.
point where the hat had been there longer in the park than it was
They left
without
it just
the
long
hat.
enough. Yeah.
So people were. I remember it because I was always a hater of the hat, and then when it was gone and saying like hallelujah, the hat's finally gone. I love the hat. The hat literally I started visiting in 2001. I've only known the park with the hat. I want the hat back. And like that always just blew my mind that it never really processed. So I don't think there's enough examples of Disney caving in on that kind of stuff.
No.
So but with Harmonious, if you watch it with the right people and you're in a good spot, you see the show and there's a good energy around you, I swear it takes on a full different life. But you have to also be willing to not just stand there and be grumpy and be like, I don't like this. I'm not going to like it. I don't want to watch it.
So there.
Oh, where's the story? All right, so I do have one.
Okay.
I did a video the day that Genie Plus was released, and I did it in the Magic Kingdom. And it was glorious. It was the first day. And I probably shouldn't have used that as the measure of how wonderful this thing was that got me on Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, Mine Train. And I really was telling people how wonderful it was. It was day one.
Yeah.
I don't know how many families of 4 may get it and then be like, wow, I can't get on any of these things. So I probably should not have recommended it the way I did until, it was day one. Again, day one, it was great. It really was.
Yes.
My experience that day was wonderful. But I don't know if that's consistent.
I mean, there's a lot of, when we've gone on day one to do dining reviews thing. I mean, Harmonious was just the example given out. The things that I sometimes regret with what we do for a living is being there on day one and using that as our impression. Sometimes I wish we didn't have to do that. And I know we don't have to do that. We could just be responsible and say, you know what? I need to watch it a couple more times to really form an opinion. I need to ride this a couple more times.
Just do a follow-up eventually.
Yeah, I think the follow-up is important. But yeah, it's like we there's no bones about it. We are we are in this and have to follow the mindset that everyone else does of if you're not first, you're last. And
Ricky Bobby.
and that is like I don't want to be first, but yeah, I also it's part of my job. It's how I stick around here is by trying to be that way. And there are a lot of times though where it's like you got caught up in the moment
Yeah. Oh,
of
absolutely.
that day one magic, and it's like it's actually not as good as we remember. Another Disneyland example that I hate to give with it, but I cut it out of our Disneyland vlogs because I felt bad about how we were being on it. But watching the video back, it made me realize that I was kind of did feel that way, but I don't want to be so harsh. I don't think Disneyland Forever is that great of a fireworks show, and
you were the one talking it up more than me.
I know, but like in the midst of the 60th anniversary of Disneyland, it felt fresh. You mix that with Paint the Night, which we did recommend Paint the Night more. I remember Pete asking us the question in the moment, which would of World of Color celebrate Paint the Magic or Disneyland Forever? Which one would you recommend? I think all of us said Paint the Magic, and he said Disneyland Forever, and he was like gobsmacked that we all chose Paint the Night over it. But that parade is fire, so I mean, of course you're going to recommend that over. But Disneyland Forever, I was still like, gosh, if you didn't see that, you missed out on a spectacular fireworks show. But now, as we watched it this past time, I'm looking at it and I'm like, people hate Enchantment because it doesn't feel like a fireworks show that's worthy of an anniversary for Walt Disney World. And I'm like, with Disneyland Forever, besides the mentions of Walt in the beginning of the show, it's literally just a greatest hits of the movies too. So it's like Enchantment kind of did have a precedent in a way of being not really about the theme parks. We just all wanted Enchantment to be the Disneyland 50th fireworks. That was wishes and then attraction music from all around. That's what we all wanted.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. But like, yeah, it's when we were standing there, I'm like, Disneyland Forever. I mean, seeing fireworks in a Disney park is still better than no fireworks. But I'm not going to tell you anymore. Like, wait that 2 hours to get the prime spot in Disneyland to watch it. Watch it from wherever you are in the park. You're going to enjoy it a little bit. You don't. Seeing the fireworks is better than seeing no fireworks. So watch it by Small World. Watch it in Frontierland. Just don't put too much into it. It's not that great.
You know, John, you mentioned the whole first day thing, and Craig, you talking about. I mean, that's just the pace and the nature of what we do, right? You just need to be there, and you need to give opinions to be able to let people know if it's something that's worth their time or their park dollars or whatever. We mentioned it last week that, again, when Few was in town, we went to Connections Eatery. It was a place he wanted to go to. It's one of my
please tell me it was still
one
good.
of my favorite places. Yeah. So here's the deal with Connections right now. The chicken sandwich is not as pickly as it was that very first time we had that sandwich. Oh my gosh, it was so beautifully brined in that pickle juice, and it was just like, ooh, pickle. No, it is not ooh pickle anymore. It's like pickle adjacent. So it was sad. And every time I go in there now, it is a mob scene. It is packed. Gone are those few first days of it's quieter. They can handle the crowds now that Guardians is open.
Oh, yeah.
People are flocking to it.
I hear you can't sit now unless you have your food.
That I haven't experienced yet.
Me neither. I just heard
but
it.
it makes sense because that is air conditioning and a seat in an area of the park that needs air conditioning and a seat. And now when you walk in, there's air conditioning going on, but there's a whole lot of bodies in here as well. And it's humid outside, and all of those things are mixing, and it's just not as magical as it was when it initially opened. Could it be back, as Guardian wanes in newness, maybe it'll be back. But They have something really worthy and worthwhile here, but it's that moment where that first day it was grand and it was a grand and glorious thing, grand and miraculous spaceship. But this is, you can't see the beautiful terrazzo tile floors with the Epcot map and there's I-4, there's entire Walt Disney World property here. It just isn't that. So they have to find the sweet spot. They've not found it yet.
I think we know the blame of it, and that's just a lack of dining in Future World, specifically with quick service. Yep. We noticed it when Electric Umbrella was gone, even though not great and not a place that we would recommend to go out of your way for when it was open. It was really apparent then when it's like, okay, you can go to Sunshine Seasons, and that's it for quick service in Future World. Mm-hmm. They desperately needed it. And yes, they added a big restaurant with connections, and it can hold a lot of people, and they're trying to move food as fast as they can. But Future World still needs more quick service. The answer can't be, well, you don't have to eat here. Just go back to World Showcase, because even the World Showcase quick service isn't always the greatest. So
it's also all outdoors, a lot of it. A lot of it.
Right.
You already said it repeatedly about it needing the air conditioning space, but that's the thing where I think that's one of the things I don't like about Epcot right now is you're pretty much stuck dining, either standing up outdoors in the sun. It's very difficult.
The trash can fighting for a place to eat your little bit of food. I don't like that.
Sure. They need a bit more gathering space. They just do and we had that with Interventions West. We had it the long hallway. You could sit and soak up a little AC. Those spaces are gone now.
Right behind the Coke place.
Yeah. I've slept on that floor before on a New Year's Eve trying to make it to midnight. But Connections got so busy last week they turned off mobile order. So everything gone, done, sealed up for the evening. Because I told you I got a picture that we needed, and I told you I was going to get a waffle.
Yeah.
Went in, they had shut down half of the Starbucks, so the cafe side, and so the line was slammed. They have a really cool Pride Liège waffle right now. Nope, did not get it because it was so slammed. Could not mobile order a thing, and they got to figure it out.
The quality of the food there so good with the pizzas and the thing. We really need to do a follow-up review.
Yes.
And see, I want to know if that pickly thing comes back and it was just a one-off, or if it is waning now.
We will get to it one day when we're done releasing 19 more videos about the dining at Disneyland Resort.
We had a lot.
That's a joke. They're officially done. So we are back. We're back in Walt Disney World for now with our dining. But we will do that. And I think that's a good place to wrap this up with Denny's sad story about how she couldn't get a waffle.
Sorry.
There's a sad story.
Who cares about the problems of the world? Denny couldn't get a waffle.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But no, we do. We have to get ready for the next thing we're doing. So we're going to wrap this up. So with that, we are going back on the rails. Thank you very much to everyone out there for taking the time to listen and watch this. If you enjoyed it and you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments, questions, and video suggestions in the comment section. And if you listen to Off the Rails, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if it's through a place where you can leave a rating or review, please take the time to do that. And again, if you want to support us more, book a trip through Dreams Unlimited Travel. Get a free no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. But thank you very much to the panel for having this fun talk with me. And thank you again to everyone out there for listening and watching. We'll see you next time we go off the rails. Take care. Bye-bye.